Oh boy, a lot of people will get mad at me because of this. I'm very opinionated about what's going on in Ukraine, so let's just jump straight into that.
So, what are you doing this Easter to celebrate with your family? Our good friends at Angel Studios have an incredible movie coming out this Easter called The King of Kings,
I
an
heard about
animated
this.
story of the life of Jesus, featuring an all-star cast including Oscar Isaac, Forrest Whitaker, and more. King of Kings brings the story of Jesus to the big screen for a whole new generation. Become a
Looks
premium
good.
member in the Angel Studios Guild, get 2 free tickets to see King of Kings, and join the Angel Guild as a premium member at angel.com/Kirk. Check out King of Kings in theaters this Easter.
Okay, before we get to the video, I hope we're gonna get more of the movies like this because I think it is important to spread the Christianity and Catholicism a little bit more around the world again, because somehow it got on the back burner and other religions got promoted a little bit more, which nothing wrong about that, right? But we have a lot of countries that used to be Catholic or Christian that kind of lost their way. And I really think for the evolution of the kids and giving the moral values and all of it, like we still should look up a little bit to the religion. And I'm saying religion, I'm not saying really church or anything like that, because I'm kind of on the edge with that. But yeah, we definitely need to start looking into the religion a little bit more again, and hopefully it's gonna. That's what I like about President Trump, that he's full on Christian. Same with JD Vance. And look, the family values of JD Vance, like, where do you think he got that from religion? And he's such a good role model for that. Anyway, without a further ado, let's talk about Ukraine.
Welcome.
So, in a video before, you've stated, why should we hate Russia? Do
Oh
you
boy.
believe that the invasion of the sovereign state of Ukraine is not enough to at least view them with anger and want to avoid a policy? of
Definitely
appeasement
wasn't
through
right
support
what
of Ukraine?
Russia did.
First of all, nice to see you.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
It's kinda nervous
yeah,
to be
what
here.
Russia did was wrong, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you
There's
not believe that we
no
should
argument about
continue
that.
monetary support to Ukraine?
No, I mean, a lot of countries do things wrong. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean we should be involved, right? I mean, Syria right now is killing a bunch of Christians. It's getting almost no press attention. There's a civil war right now in Africa that's getting almost no press attention. Not every conflict warrants American involvement. And right now, President Trump is trying to broker a peace settlement between Russia and Ukraine, which is the right move. And our perspective as conservatives is as follows. The amount of money we spent on Ukraine is about $300 billion so far.
It's crazy.
And during Biden, we didn't spend any money on our own southern border while we were being invaded on a daily basis. President
Okay.
Trump is instead...
I have to pause it. Sorry. I'm gonna try not to pause too much, but let me say this. When I worked as a flight attendant, during our training for the decompression, they told us, when you're in the situation of decompression, you should don the mask for yourself first. Because if you're gonna try to help everyone else before you help yourself, you're gonna end up helping, what, 2, 3 people, and then you're gonna run out of oxygen and just faint. If you do the mask for yourself first, you're gonna be able to help so much more people. And you can apply it to this situation as well. You can't just take from your citizens, like take the money from your citizens and send it to Ukraine. Like, you need to take care of your citizens first so they're able to support what's going on in Ukraine. Because eventually, like, you can't just keep taking from your own people without giving them something. Like, you need to be in the strong position to be able to help, and not just Ukraine, but to everyone else, right? And it's ridiculous to me. Like, I can talk about Canada. Canada sent only about $20 billion to Ukraine, right? Now look at it. It was an emotional decision. I'm sorry, but it was. If you would invest those $20 billion you sent to Ukraine just to support the war, if you used it in Canada to create a pipeline that's going to go from Alberta to New Brunswick, and from there we're going to getting access to sell our oil and gas to Europe, not only that it would help situation in Canada, but if you're able to export oil and gas to Europe, that means Europe will depend less on Russia, on Russia's oil and gas, right? And if they're not going to buy as much from Russia, guess what it's going to affect? The war, because right now the Russia would lose funding, or at least the part of the funding that they use for war. So indirectly, by helping Canada, and okay, not helping Canada, but by Canada keeping this money to improve their own infrastructure, indirectly, it would help in a war against Russia or in a war in Ukraine, right? Let's go even further. 20 billions, right? LNG. Canada has a lot of natural gas. Now imagine if you invest this money into the infrastructure for liquid natural gas. And again, eventually you would be able to export it to Europe, which would help Europe to get away from the natural gas that they're getting from Russia. And again, like I said, that would affect the funding of the war. So indirectly, it would help with the war in Ukraine. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't send any money to Ukraine, right? Like we should support them. But if you want to fund the war, if you want to send just money, there needs to be some, how would you say it? Some conditions. Like you need to deal about the war. Like we're not going to fund your war for 3 years, which we did until President Trump got elected. And thank God now there's someone who's actually trying to deal about the peace. But like it's impossible that we're going to just send them money without any end game, like any end goal. Like Ukraine's not going to beat Russia. Did you see the size of the Russia? Did you Google the population of Russia versus the population of Ukraine? There's no way. And especially even the two different regimes, like you have communist regime that will literally push their own people to go into the war. If they refuse to go to war, you're going to go to prison, you're going to lose your land, your family will suffer. Like obviously, like the communist regime is not good for people. Like we all know that, right? So like there's no way Ukraine can beat them. And I'm glad that President Trump got elected and finally someone is willing to deal about the peace, to put an end to this crazy conflict. Like that should have happened the first month of the invasion. Like you should have deal about the peace straight away. Right now, Ukraine lost so much land that they will never get back. Like, what are we talking about?
I'm saying American borders matter a lot more than the borders of Russia and Ukraine.
It should. Like, America should protect them first, and then they can help.
I definitely agree that the President of the United States should focus on America first. But I just feel that, and I agree that we should, honestly, I agree that Europe needs to up their spending for the defense of Ukraine because it's right on their border. But I think that no matter where it is in the world, supporting somebody who I would believe is doing the morally right thing is the right thing to do.
Okay, so that's a fair position. I guess the question is, at what point would you consider to be a success? Because right now Russia has more territory than it otherwise would have if we would have had a ceasefire a couple weeks
ago. The success is when people stop dying.
When is it enough money to spend? We're at $300 billion. I mean, we're not willing to send U.S. troops, right? I mean, that would probably be a fair line.
Yeah, 100%.
So what would success look like?
That is a really hard question.
No, it's easy.
I
people
guess just the thing that I think of first is
stop
that
dying.
Fear of
stop getting killed.
I think that a peace treaty would go in the favor of Russia, and while I don't think if we continue the support, the war will continue. And
okay, this is ridiculous. Yeah, I see his point. Why a lot of people think that peace treaty would go, would be beneficial for Russia. Like I said, they should have deal about the peace 1 month in. Now Ukraine lost so much of their land, and you think Russia will just give it up? Russia will be just like, oh yeah, you know what? We were wrong. Here, take it back. No, obviously they control the territory. You want them to give it up? yeah, morally, it would be a right thing to do, right? But be realistic. Like, they already conquered the territory. They're not going to give it up. And unless President Trump offers them something else, right? Unless they're going to exchange it for something different. But if they don't, I see that you think that it's going to be more beneficial for Russia, but they're already in control of the territory. Like, it should have never get to this point that we're 3 years into the war with no intention to create the peace until, what, 2 months ago? I mean, not create, but sign the peace deal. Like, I'm sorry, that's fault of Europe. That's fault of everyone who supported Ukraine without telling them, hey, we're gonna fund you, but you need to deal about the peace. No, everyone for 3 years was just sending the money, and now you're surprised that whatever peace deal it's gonna be, it's gonna look that it was beneficial for Russia. Yeah, because they are in control of the territory. Like, and I don't agree with this point. Like, it's gonna be beneficial for Ukraine either way, because you're trying to prevent people from dying. Like, it should not be about the land. I know people will get mad about that for me, or I mean about that, right? But it should be about the people. Like, who cares about the land? Who cares about the territory? Like, if the whole nation gets gets wiped out, who cares about land without a nation, right? The important thing is people that carry the Ukrainian culture and all of it. Obviously, it sucks to lose your land, but let's set the priorities straight. Like, let's not be emotional. Like, the people are the important thing, not the cities or anything like that. Like, just prevent people from dying.
And that's more lives being lost. I just think that it's a hard middle ground to find, and I feel like Trump, especially with the meeting with Zelensky,
oh my God,
to the
this
world
one again
shows more of a support to Russia than previous administrations.
So let me tell you how we view it. We thought Zelensky was completely out of line. By the way, do you like my
Yeah, he
Zelensky
was
outfit, everybody?
disrespectful.
What do you think? I meant no disrespect to the University of Tennessee, but I thought I'd do my best Zelensky outfit. I'm a little taller, though, don't you think? I'm a little taller than Zelensky. I'm giving you a hard time. First and foremost, I won't nitpick too much, but I will say, if you do go into the Oval Office, you should wear a suit and tie. That's my own personal perspective. I understand his country's at war. That's just a little bit of a nitpicking.
Like,
I'll be honest. I think that if you go into the
meeting
sacred,
another
and I'd be honored
president
to go into
who's
the Oval Office
helping
a couple
you.
times, I think you should dress up in a suit and tie. I think it's just a basic common
Definitely.
courtesy. But that's
Yeah.
not the bigger issue. The bigger issue is that Zelensky in that meeting, we believe, and I encourage you to watch all 40 minutes. You have, good. It started pretty tepid and then it heated up. And outside of Vice President Vance's back and forth on did you say thank you, there was this kind of insistence on Zelensky saying, no, we really don't want peace. We really don't, like, the idea of peace was almost a non-negotiable.
I mean,
Okay, sorry for pausing, but yeah, first of all, there was some past experience, like the negotiations went for over a week, so obviously JD Vance and President Trump were a little bit irritated by President Zelensky. But the thing is, President Zelensky, at least what I heard, was informed not to talk about Russia and all of it. Like, the whole meeting was about signing the minerals deal, right? And President Zelensky kept talking about Russia and Putin and everything. He tried to bait President Trump into saying that Ukraine has 100% support from US, and that President Putin is a bad person, did something bad, Russia's horrible, blah, blah, blah. Something like this, right? Is that bad? It is, because President Trump is trying to negotiate a deal. You can't go negotiating as a neutral country while you're obviously biased towards one party. Like, you can't shit talk one side and then try to make deal with them. Like, it does not make sense. And like I said, President Zelensky was warned not to talk about it. He was asked to come in a suit, and he literally disrespected them wherever he could. So, like, yeah, if you look at the meeting, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that J.D. Vance got mad, and I'm not surprised the meeting ended how it ended. And let's realize that, like, President Zelensky is there to ask for help. So why is he so disrespectful? Like, if you go ask for help somewhere, are you gonna behave like this? No, you won't. Like, you put your head down and you're just gonna try to be as polite as you can, right?
I think he views it. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine. Please.
I feel like he views it as a surrender, and I think that's a fair position for him to take.
Yeah, well, so he has a choice. And America then has a choice. So Zelensky can keep on fighting. Here's some facts. The average age of a Ukrainian military member is 43 years old. They have basically destroyed the young men of their country. There's hundreds of thousands of young men that have died, millions that have fled their nation. The average age
the
is
whole
43.
generation's
They're doing
just gone.
of people in their late 40s and early 50s to go to the front lines. It's a meat grinder. So he can keep that going, but for what? To win back some land that you may or may not win.
Yeah,
then it's
like you get the
America's
land, but
perspective. We
the
come at
people
the
are
perspective
gone.
that, number one, blessed are the peacemakers. Number two, what is good for our own country? And the Russian-Ukrainian war has been bad for us at every turn. We're losing the U.S. dollar as the world reserve currency status.
Yeah.
It is getting us further and further away from having a back channel to Russia. It's actually put Russia and China closer together. And finally, the amount of money spent. You guys in this audience, you are going to inherit a nation that is $35 trillion in debt.
That's
where we are
brutal.
sending money overseas and not securing over our own citizens. Peace would then hopefully limit that from some permanency. And I'll just say one final thing, and we can, disagree on this. It's easy to say it's a surrender, but it would be a victory for the United States to say that we're no longer sleepwalking closer and closer to a thermonuclear war with Russia.
Oh,
because
for sure.
Russia is a nuclear armed power, and under Joe Biden, not under Trump, we had American-made missiles that were being launched into the interior of Russia.
I don't understand how
Imagine
he
right now,
allowed
everybody,
it.
if Russia was launching missiles into the interior of the United States. You opened up your question with a very fair, really good faith question. You said, why should we view Russia as an enemy? Let me give you more context to that. And I think this is where D.C. gets things totally wrong. While I don't like Russia, I don't like Putin, it's not a free society, I have no plans to ever move there or compliment them, I do think it's kind of weird the amount of money and attention that Russia gets when almost nobody in this audience has a friend that you've lost to the Russian government, but you do have a friend or a family member that has died because of the cartels and the Chinese Communist Party, with a fentanyl coming into our communities. And so,
like I said previously, obviously someone's making money out of this war, right? How is it possible that we're funding the war for 3 years without any progress and without any, hey, you need to sign the trade deal? Like, I don't get this. Like, what was the plan? What was the plan to send all of this money to Ukraine? For what? Like, why didn't they push on Zelensky to start negotiate about a peace? That's what I don't understand. And Joe Biden literally just sent those $300 billion to Ukraine without any contract or deal how to get that money back. And that's what President Trump did with the minerals deal, right? Because Joe Biden just sent the money there and like, yeah, take it. The taxpayers' money, just send it there. It's ridiculous. Like someone was definitely making money out of this war, and that's why it gets so much publicity. And yeah, I wonder if it's like COVID, if they're just trying to distract us from something else.
a nation has to choose which enemies are you going to focus on? Because we have a lot of them. Is it North Korea? Is it Iran? Is it Russia? Is it China? I think the Mexican drug cartels have done a lot more damage to the people of Tennessee alongside the Chinese Communist Party than the Russian Federation ever will. So therefore, end the war and focus on our true enemies, the Mexican drug cartels and the Chinese Party. Thank you so much.
You need to protect
Thank
your
you.
borders.
Hey, everybody, thanks so much for watching. First and foremost, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell. It really helps us out, and we love it when you leave comments. Share these videos with your friends. Also, get involved with Turning Point USA at tpusa.com. We have our Student Action Summit coming up this summer. We have our Young Women's Leadership Summit. All of the biggest and most amazing events of the summer at tpusa.com. That is tpusa.com. Again, hit subscribe, hit the bell. Thanks for watching.
Okay, yeah, sorry for pausing a lot, but yeah, like, let's summarize it a little bit if you want to hear my opinion. Like I said, the war in Ukraine should have been solved within the first month. Either Europe should have sent the troops there, which right now it's too late for it because it would be another world war, right? But back then, I believe that if they would just protect Ukraine borders, like, I don't know, NATO, European Union, whatever, even though they didn't have any responsibility towards Ukraine, and obviously someone's going to comment again being like, oh, this and this deal. No. So yeah, my opinion, either they should have stormed into Ukraine and repel Russia straight away, or push them to deal about the peace straight away. Like, why did we wait 3 years and just fund the war while the whole world was suffering? And I know it sounds bad. I know the whole world was suffering, but people in Ukraine were actually dying, which is bad. But why were they dying? Because they refused to deal about the peace. Because their president refused to deal about the peace. And the whole world decided, let's just fund this war. And that's it. It's ridiculous. Regarding Joe Biden allowing the American missiles to be sent to Russia, that's ridiculous. Like, he's lucky that Russia didn't start a third world war. Like, it's if the situation was reversed and, I don't know, let's say Russia used Chinese missiles or something like that in Ukraine, maybe not in Ukraine, but in some other conflict, like, it would be a shit show for sure. I just don't understand how they were just dancing on this thin red line between World War III and, yeah, like, no, it was ridiculous what they did. So again, my opinion, it should have been done within the first month. Now, obviously, the deal or peace deal, it's gonna feel like it's more beneficial for Russia. But again, they're in control of that territory. They conquered it. Like, what do you want? Unless President Trump finds a way how to exchange it for something else, it is what it is, unfortunately. The end of this war, like the end goal, the most important thing is to prevent people from dying, from getting murdered in this war. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, who cares about the land? You heard it. The average age of the Ukrainian soldier is 43 years right now. They wiped out the whole generation of people. So yeah, you're fighting for your territory right now. Guess what? There's not going to be anyone to live there. You lost so much of your culture because of this war, because you did not deal about the peace. Yes, what Russia did is wrong. It should have never happened. Morally wrong. But let's not be so emotional about it. You need to do what's the best for your nation, what's logically best for your nation.